Good morning, Ursuline Academy, and welcome to another edition of UA Today. I'm your anchor, Julia Stallhus.
And I'm your co-anchor, Kelly Gleason.
Coming to you live from 3rd floor Marici. Today we have a lot in store for you, so let's jump right into it.
On March 24th, there was a 3-vehicle collision that occurred in Tempe, Arizona, leaving Uber's gray self-driving Volvo SUV flipped on its side. Police have indicated that the accident was not the result of the Uber. Rather, another car failed to yield and caused the Uber to flip. The autonomous design explained that the Uber is constantly set to enhance the best safety for the people in the car. The company, Tony Reuters, has explained that since there was no one in the back seat, the car's reaction was to flip in order to provide the passenger in the front seat, Arizona Governor Doug Ducey, the best safety. Not only did the company refuse to test for permit to drive these self-driving cars, but within days of having these cars Uber people around, a self-driving car was caught running more than 5 red lights. Many people have questioned the car and the company's motives. Luckily, no one was injured in the accident. Now that we have cars that can drive themselves, most people have forgotten to read the simple road map.
Where will we be without our GPS, satellites, and voice commands? It's like the roadmap has almost been forgotten about. Since the earliest roadmap, made in 1675, the Britannia Atlas, drawn by cartographer John Oakley, so much has changed. Today, maybe pull out a roadmap and navigate yourself around. Now onto your world news.
That's right, Julia. Tropical cyclone Debbie slammed into northeastern Australia midday Tuesday, with wind gusts as high as 161 miles per hour. The Australian Bureau of Meteorology said at least one death has been blamed on the storm. As many as 25,000 residents evacuated low-lying areas as the storm approached. The National Post newspaper said, Debbie made landfall near Airline Beach, Queensland, a tourist resort and gateway to the Great Barrier Reef. The storm was the equivalent of a Category 4 when it pushed ashore, the Weather Channel said. Hundreds of schools closed Tuesday and more than 20,000 households without power by mid-afternoon. So let's pray for them as they are in a time of need. Now on to weather.
The high for today is a warm high of 66 and a low cold of 41. Speaking of weather, here's Kelly with the story of a shipwreck.
On April 25th, the public will have the opportunity to bid on some of the items found on what people are calling the most valuable shipwreck in history, Nuestra Senora de Atocha. Part of a 20-ship flota, Nuestra Senora de Atocha, set off the Spain from Cuba on September 4th, 1622. But the next morning, 8 of the 20 ships were scattered on the ocean floor due to a hurricane. The cargo on ship said included 24 tons of silver bullion and 1038 ingots, 180 pesos of silver coins, 582 copper ingots, 125 gold bars and disc, 350 chests of indigo, 525 bales of tobacco, 20 bronze canyons, and 1,200 pounds of worked silverware. The shipwreck was found in 1973 off the coast of the Key of Florida.
Wow, that was interesting. Now on to our next segment. It's Warenberg Wednesday.
For this week's movie update, we've got quite the range of movies, from beloved kids' stories to gruesome horror. Let's dive in. Obviously, at the top of the list of must-see movies is Beauty and the Beast. From the first second the movie started and the music plays, I got goosebumps. 10 out of 10 must-see. Now on the list is Get Out, a scary psychological thriller that will make your skin crawl. But since it is rated R, you must be 17 or older to go see it alone. But if you get the chance, I highly recommend going to see it, and would give the movie an 8 out of 10. On the lower end of the spectrum, Life comes in at a maybe would and maybe wouldn't spend your money to go see it. I know I only went to see Ryan Gosling and Jake Gyllenhaal. Next up, Ghost in the Shell is on the list. I would not waste your time on this movie, as it got a 43% on Rotten Tomatoes, and personally, I believe this anime-based movie lacks substance. Now, at the very end of my list is Boss Baby. Do not go see this for the sake of your wallet. It is Alec Baldwin's latest blockbuster that is a cartoon about babies and how they're not the cutest thing anymore. The plotline was bad, and honestly, it's an hour and a half of your life that you won't get back. Fortunately, though, we won't waste your time here either, so let's go on to our next story about unusual makeup tricks.
According to my source, there are new ways people are using to try to blend their makeup. Here is our own Rachel Mertens with a video she created on testing these weird hacks out. Let's take a look. Wow, I think we should just stick to our old beauty blender or just use a makeup brush. I know that might sound weird and unusual, but here's a food you just cannot resist.
That's right. Today's national food of the day is donuts. It's amazing that the Krispy Kreme donut began with a handwritten recipe scribbled on a piece of paper in Paducah, Kentucky, and has now grown to a company over 65 years old and still growing all over America. On a hot July day in 1937, Vernon and two of his friends came to the Winston-Salem, North Carolina with $25. They rented the front of a store and talked the grocer into loaning them ingredients to make their first donut. Vernon promised to reimburse the generous grocer, which was when the first donuts were finally ready to go. After the first day of donut making, people passing on the street would enter the donut shop, taken by the smell. They begged Vernon to sell them some of their fresh Krispy Kreme donuts. Up to this point, the business had run on wholesale. Vernon decided to sell donuts by cutting a window into the wall of the shop. Krispy Kreme became a wholesale and retail business as it is today. So this should be a lesson to you guys for what you want to do in life. Here's another lesson, but something a little more well-known: stress.
Why do so many teens have stress now more than ever? Some of you may ask the question to yourself, why am I so stressed? Well, let's see what can stress some Ursuline girls out today. I hope that you've learned to be the best you have to have a balanced schedule. Sleep is important. Why deprive yourself of that? Get sleep and stay organized. Now let's get to a happier subject that also might learn something new.
That's right, today's word of the day is parallax, which means a displacement or difference in the apparent position of an object viewed along two different lines of sight, and is measured by the angle or semi-angle inclination between these two lines. Who knew, right? Let's go to Julia with the joke of the day.
What's a tornado's favorite game to play?
I don't know, Julia, what?
Twister.
Hope that one made you chuckle a bit. On a more serious note, now tell us what the quote of the day is.
Today's quote of the day is, "I destroy my enemy when I make him my friend," by Abraham Lincoln. Before closing out today's broadcast, don't forget that the Ursuline musical, Godspell, is showing this weekend on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The tickets cost $10, so it is not that expensive. This is definitely going to be a musical to remember, so watch it before it's gone. Closing out today's broadcast, we would like to thank Mrs. Lang and our crew behind the camera. I'm your anchor, Julia Stallhuth, here with my co-anchor,
Kelly Gleason, reminding you to make the most of your day.